All right, guys, welcome back to Call You DFS, the process. Um, I'm tackling in the NFL Sunday slate. Um, I think I have a few Monday guys on here too as well. But I know it's a little bit late. I'm posting this a little bit late. I didn't want to do one for Thursday simply because I was unsure with the Kansas City and Patriots game. However, Patriots did lose, but I don't think that performance from Kareem Hunt would be duplicated as the season go on. I mean, it looked kind of. It just looked. I hate to say it looked like he had a lucky night, but I just don't see it being a repeat performance season long. I still I don't categorize him as a. Well, damn, I can't say it. I get all right. So RB1 running back for me is someone that's like a bell cow, like a workhorse that can run it down your throat, that can catch, that can do it all. That's an RB1 for me. A RB2 for me is a guy that can just run it down your throat. So RB1, let's think David Johnson or Le'Veon Bell. RB2, let's think LaShawn McCoy with somebody that can run it down your throat. Let's think LaShawn McCoy, Ezekiel Elliott, and Jay Ajayi. Now RB3 for me is a speedy pass catcher. Darren Sproles, what is it? Michael J. White, people like that. Now, back to Kareem Hunt. I like what he did to the Patriots, but it just didn't look like a complete effort. Um, it was an okay game, but I don't I got respect for Kansas City because I know their defense is pretty good. It's decent. I'm not gonna say pretty good. It's decent, and their offense seems to be catching up to their defense from last season. It was a good game, but at the end of the day, I didn't pick any players from that game because I just wasn't sure. I didn't. I'm still not sure because at the end of the day, this is only week one. You don't know what adjustments teams have made. So moving forward, I picked a few guys for the my cash lineup. Quarterback Matt Ryan, I put him in number one simply because he has the talent to upset almost a good majority of the teams that are going to be in front of him. However, I don't think he's going to be too much effective. So like if you're playing on, I think it's FanDuel. If you're playing on FanDuel, uh, I wouldn't pay up for him if it makes sense. I wouldn't pay up for him. But in cash games, I have him here. Alongside Derek Carr and Marcus Mariota. Here's the thing about Derek Carr. People are gonna doubt Oakland. People are gonna. I mean, you're gonna hear different things. You're gonna hear people saying, "Oh, I'm gonna join the bandwagon for Oakland," and then you're gonna hear people doubt Oakland. One thing you gotta know about Oakland is one, they still have a strong offensive line to protect Derek Carr. Um, I'm not saying he's gonna go out and just sling it, and produce what he did last year, but you can't take that away from him. He still has an okay line. He has a good line, not an okay line. And he has a good relationship with Michael Crabtree and Amari Cooper. Um, uh, it's just you can't just downplay that and say Tennessee has a better defense. They have some guys that run the corner. I mean, yes, Tennessee is okay. They're doing a little bit better. They've been in this position against Oakland before, so they of course they're going to try to perform a little bit better than they did last year. They know the schemes, but I just don't see Tennessee's defense doing anything to stop Oakland. Now to flip that coin, Marcus Mariota, I don't see him being a big offensive threat when it comes to being throwing the ball in the air to receivers like who is it, Matthews and so on and so forth. Simply because one of the things I keep noticing is that everyone is doubting, or not doubting, they're just sleeping on Oakland's explosive defense. I'm not saying they're going to go out and stop a team every drive. I don't think they will do that. However, they have an explosive defense to randomly just rack up on sacks or rack up on interceptions or make force interceptions or force fumbles or whatever. You know what I mean? They have an explosive defense. Sorry about that. They have an explosive defense. But and I see everybody sleeping on that. Yeah, DeMarcus Murray, he's gonna do well. He's gonna do pretty good. However, I don't think he's gonna do good enough to. I don't think he's gonna do good enough to just. All right, put it like this. I don't think for his price point, I would rather pay down for Howard over Murray, simply because I believe Murray and Howard would do around the same. The difference between the two is Murray is going to split his touches with Henry. And the reason why I say that is because Henry has proven last season and this preseason that he's more than capable to take on that role as a RB1, to be honest with you. And an RB1 is someone who can, a running back that can do it all. So I don't think I'm not gonna sleep on Mariota. I'm probably gonna have some Mariota, but at the same time, I don't think he's gonna do more than Derek Carr. So for my cash game lineups, I have Matt Ryan number 1, Derek Carr, and Mariota. My running backs, I have David Johnson. Honestly, a lot of people are gonna say, Johnson and Le'Veon Bell and all those guys are gonna upset you. Don't really put them in your lineup. I'm not going to sleep on Johnson. I'm just not going to sleep on Johnson simply because I don't have much faith in Arizona's wide receiver core. However, I see them being a threat. They're going up against Detroit. I see them being a threat, but I just don't have that much faith in them to say, hey, let's just completely sleep on David Johnson. I'm going to give him a shot. And I already touched on Murray and Howard. He's not the only offensive threat they have. However, he's going to be the one that gets the job done and puts the points on the board. He's going to get the red zone touches. He's going to get passes. It's just going to be he's just going to rack up on points for PPR points for DraftKings. So for cash games, those are my running backs. My wide receivers, Julio Jones, simply because Julio Jones again, this is cash game. Atlanta has lost their offensive coordinator, but I don't see that hindering receiving yards and touchdowns for Julio Jones. I see him at least getting one touchdown, and if not 100 receiving yards, close to it. Amari Cooper, I spoke on that relationship he has with Derek Carr. It developed, I don't want to say last season, but over the summer from last season, and it carried over into last season. The only thing that really stopped Amari Cooper was the fact that he didn't have much touchdowns, but other than that, the targets were there. His fantasy points kind of was sporadic, but he's still. He's somebody you can't really overlook. And I know a lot of people are going to say I'm not going to join the bandwagon and jump on that, but honestly, I think he shouldn't be overlooked. Doug Baldwin, I got him on here simply because I'm interested to see how well the Seattle Seahawks do. I think this season may be a real. I think this is going to be a great season. Doug Baldwin, Russell Wilson's back in shape. I don't think they have who they have? Eddie Lacy at running back. I label him as an RB2. I'm not, and that's somebody that can just run the ball. And I really don't have much faith in him. But Doug Baldwin, he's in a good position. Green Bay, I don't respect their secondary, and I don't think their secondary are gonna stop Baldwin much. Matthews, I think he's gonna get his targets. He's gonna get his touches. I can't say I see him getting more than 20 fantasy points, but I think he's gonna do well. Same with Pierre Garçon. I think he's actually, Pierre Garçon. I think he's gonna do I think he might be the upset to most people because I think a lot of people are expecting him to perform really well. Um, I don't think he's gonna do bad, but at the end of the day, I don't think he's gonna be the one to win you a GPP. Uh, Tight end, Delaney Walker, if you're feeling like paying up for Delaney Walker, and if not, Zach Ertz. I think Ertz is gonna do pretty well in this game with Washington. Um, However, I gotta speak on Washington for a second. Washington is not a bad team, honestly. Their defense will come around, and I put them in the same boat as Oakland. Like they have an explosive defense, so it's like it's not bad, but it's not great. It's you're gonna score on them, but they're gonna rack up on interceptions or something. You know what I mean? Like they have an explosive defense to me. Kicker, Bryant, Boswell, Sturgis. Again, like I said, this is just my cash game lineup. I have a lot of faith that these guys can get you anywhere from 80 to 115. You know, and that's pretty much all you need for a cash game to actually win it. Now going on to the GPP. Number one, and the way I want to do my GPP, I want to touch on. I'm sorry, I forgot to touch on my defense. All right, so I have Houston as the number one defense for my cash game lineup simply because uh, it's a no-brainer. It, you gotta consider the point system. If a team's not gonna make more than 20 points, then chances are you're gonna you're gonna make fantasy points off of that as well. Also, Houston's gonna put a lot of pressure on uh, Bortles. He's he's probably gonna make more than a few mistakes. They're gonna force interceptions. It's just gonna be a defensive game. So that's why I have Houston as the first or the primary for defense for my cash game lineups. Buffalo, on the other hand, I have them at the secondary. However, I think I read something that they lost a few guys. I think they lost a few guys in the secondary or acquired somebody. I forget. Something's going on with their team where. Anyways, long story short, Buffalo at the secondary, I feel as though they have the opportunity to put a real stop to the Jets. However, I think that game, if you're really investing a lot of fantasy value in that game, I think it might be an upset because I think the Jets are going to come out slinging. They might cause a few interceptions. I'm not saying they won't, but I just have a funny feeling about that game. Okay, so now down to my GPP lineups. Russell Wilson as number one for my quarterback. Carson Palmer. I think Palmer's going to be overlooked. I don't see him. I hate to say I don't see him getting over 300 yards, passing yards. However, I do see him getting 2 to 3 touchdowns. And that's funny because it's like when you think about quarterbacks, you kind of want them to go over 300 passing yards, and you kind of want them to get like 3 to 4 touchdowns, passing touchdowns. But I just don't see that happening with him. I don't see it happening with Wilson either. However, like I said, my GPP lineup, you got to take risks. You got to take shots. I think that Palmer is going to go overlooked. Cousins, I think a lot of people are going to be on Cousins and Wentz. However, I categorize them as a GPP play because they have upsides to do well. It's going to be a sling out, a gun show. It's going to be high scoring. But the one guy that I really have a lot of faith in as far as like points, receiving yards, or passing yards is Brian Hoyer. He has a gun on him. I mean, if you look at last season, when who was it that got hurt? I don't know. I forget his name. Anyways, when he took over at the helm at quarterback, he just 300 yards back to back. He was just doing his thing, and he had no interceptions. Now, the one thing that kind of gets me about Hoyer is the fact that I think he broke his arm or he injured himself last season, and I don't know how he's gonna hold up. However, with Shanahan going over to be offensive coordinator over there, I think that he might have or will whip Hoyer and their offense into shape. And like I said, he has a gun on him, so I do see Hoyer getting over 300 yards. And if I had to call it, I see him either doing as good as Derek Carr or Mariota, or a little better. I don't see him getting more than 3 passing touchdowns, but I do see him going over 300 passing yards. At most, I see him getting 2 passing touchdowns, and I think he's. I don't want to say he's going to get an interception. I can't call it, and I don't want to jinx it because I I can't. You can't sleep on Carolina. The 49ers are going to come out and be a big upset to the Carolina, but you just can't sleep on them. I do think he's going to be the GPP play of the day, quarterback of the day, but um, use him at your own discretion. Running back Le'Veon Bell. I don't think I'll be paying up for him, but I will put him in as a GPP play simply because he has the upside to do well. However, he has that downside to just, they might take it easy and they might not try to rush him back into his normal role right away. Freeman, I put him on here simply because, like I said, Shanahan is no longer there. They're going to want to run him. They're going to want to throw passes to him and Tevin Coleman. However, I don't know the situation with Tevin Coleman. I don't know if he's going to be taking on more of more snaps or what, but he is a good GPP play. He might do well. The one guy on here that I really have to highlight would be Crowell or Isaiah, whatever the fuck his name is. I think Cleveland will upset Pittsburgh, or not upset them, but force them to play hard. It's gonna be one of those games where Crowell is a I don't want to call him a work. Yeah, I guess I can call him an RB1, a workhorse. He's a workhorse back. He's gonna do it all. They're gonna depend on him heavy, and he's gonna get the job done. I see him. If let's just say you didn't want to get Howard. Crowell, I think he would do just as good as Howard at a cheaper price. Carlos Hyde, I guess he can be RB1. However, I don't see him being a big, and I hate saying it out loud, but I don't see him being a big a part to that offense doing damage to Carolina. He might go out and get 15 fantasy points, might go out and get 20, I don't know. But he's a good I think he has upside, so he made that GPP lineup for me. Wide receivers, Antonio Brown, I told you, I just don't see these big names doing too well. I am going to touch on one thing, whether you guys want to believe it or not. Marquise Goodwin, speedy, fast, can play the deep ball. His quarterback, Hoyer, can throw the deep ball. Kyle Shanahan, offensive coordinator, wants him to throw the deep ball, wants them to pass. Think about it. I think Goodwin could be a good GPP play, and I think he might go overlooked, or I think he's going to be less owned. Crabtree, depending on how well the defense either lock up Amari Cooper, Crabtree always is going to have upside, or somewhat same upside as Amari Cooper. But to put him on, I put him on here as a GPP play simply because the targets may go to Cooper. More targets may go to Cooper. So Crabtree has that upside, but he might not just get as much targets. Sanu, Martavius Bryant, I have him on here as a GPP play simply because I think that he's going to be that deep ball threat to Cleveland to offset the whole we need to put guys on Antonio Brown or to lock up Antonio Brown. I think he might not. They might not utilize his speed and his agility this Sunday, but season long, he's gonna fit in. He's gonna sync up, and they're gonna use him. Not the same with Macklin. Macklin, I'm hoping they play him at the slot. I think of Macklin as he can't take on that star role, but he can perform like a star if he can be that wide receiver 2. And wide receiver 2 for me is the one who can play the slot. Wide receiver 3, deep ball, wide out 1. He's basically the star. Tight end, Zach Miller. I don't even know why. I just have a gut feeling, and maybe that's not good enough, but I have a gut feeling that Miller, for his price tag on DraftKings, is going to go out and get 10 to 15 fantasy points against Atlanta. Jared Cook, I think he has upside. Ingram has upside, but I just, with those guys, it's just upside. I can't really put a finger on it and say they're going to go out and do this and why. However, with Miller, I think he's going to be the guy that get the red zone touches. He's going to be the guy what is his name? Forget his name. The quarterback. Anyways, the quarterback checks down to whenever Howard is out or Howard is, not involved in the pass play. Tucker as a GPP play simply because I think Baltimore will get in range but end up not being able to convert on third down, which would force Tucker to come out and kick a field goal. I think Tucker may get the most fantasy points as a kicker for the slate on Sunday. I think it's Sunday. On Sunday, yeah. But right behind him is Novak and Crosby. Novak, I think he's... like I said, it's going to be a defensive game between Houston and Jacksonville. However, I'm not saying Novak is not going to get fantasy points. He's going to get them, but I think Tucker will outdo him. And I think I've already spoke about the defense for Buffalo. Buffalo has the upside to upset the Jets, but I think a lot of people are betting that the Jets are so bad that Buffalo will. And I don't think the Jets are horrible. Well, I think they're bad, but I don't think that they can't provide somewhat of a challenge to Buffalo. And I think Buffalo lost a few guys. I just can't remember. But anyways, so yeah, that's my GPP lineup for Sunday slate. My cash game lineup for Sunday slate. These are the guys I'm going to be probably using. Yeah, man. So feel free to plug and play anybody you see here. I'll go back up again. Cash game lineup. GPP lineup. All right. Like I said, if you like what I did, like, comment, subscribe, and